Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 6, and this was another fantastic episode. Sheree, I want to start off with you and let you know that whatever sympathy I did have for you in the last episode, it faded away. Marlo, when they eat you up at this here reunion, I will not feel sorry for you in the slightest. Like, you were actually likable in this episode until the end. And I thought that conversation between you and Sheree was absolutely disgusting. But with all that being said, let's just jump right on into this recap because we don't have a minute to spare. Oh, before we get started, let me just double check my ponytail now because in the Beverly Hills recap, my eyelash was attached to my ponytail and I didn't even notice it until a few of you guys pointed it out in the comments. When I tell you that I was laughing so hard, I said, look, stuff happens. I hope you guys got a good laugh out of it. And, you know, I still made it work, okay? But yeah, no eyelashes in sight, okay? They're right here where they should be. So, we start off this episode with Marlo and Kenya FaceTiming each other, and they're discussing the whole debacle with Sheree and Tyrone. Kenya's like, girl, did you see that picture of Sheree? She was out there crying, like, I just feel so bad for her. I want to do something to cheer her up. So Marlo says that she wants to have Kenya and Sheree over, and they're going to cheer Sheree up. So Marlo's like, yeah, you know, we're going to order all her favorite foods, fatty foods, you know, desserts, sweets, the whole nine, and get a massage therapist. Like, we just want her to feel good and remember who she is. And it's like, this is the Marlo I enjoy seeing. When she's nice to other people, when she's considerate. I love this idea. I think that's the best thing you can do for a friend when they're going through a breakup. So now we jump on over to Sheree. She's at home. And it's 4 days after the whole Philly incident. So Sheree's in her pajamas. She looks depressed. She's folding the laundry. Her oldest daughter, Tiara, comes in and they start talking. So Tiara's asking her mom how she's doing. Sheree says, girl, I'm taking it day by day. Then we learn that Tyrone actually had the audacity to call Sheree the next day. And she says, I'm waiting to hear, you know, babe, I'm sorry. This is what happened. But all he says to her was, hey, what's up? What you doing? So she says that she told him, you know, I'll call you back later. And then she never called him. I said, now, Sheree, as nasty as you are to these women, but you have nothing to say to Tyrone, I'm really surprised that Sheree didn't curse Tyrone out. It's just very interesting how some women get around their friends, but they'll give a man a whole bunch of chances. Because there's no way that Tyrone would even feel comfortable to call me up and act like nothing happened. Now we find out that Tyrone's been texting her and calling her. She hasn't picked up, and she's not in the mood to talk to him anytime soon. Again, why isn't Tyrone's number blocked? Let's start there. I love blocking. I am a block girl, okay? I will not let anybody steal my peace or my joy. And once I've been disrespected, once a friendship or a relationship is over, I am blocking you. Like, you know, it's no hate, it's no ill will, but you are going to be blocked. And Tyrone needs to be added to the block party. And when Sheree was saying how she's not ready to give up on Tyrone, it was like, girl, what are you talking about? This man has showed you with his actions how he truly feels about you. Nobody who cares about you or is in love with you would leave you hanging like that. That's just a fact. And when Tiara said, well, Mom, if you do give him a second chance, he has to come with it. And I want to know, what is Tyrone coming with? But now we jump to the next scene with Kenya and Drew. They're out having lunch. So they're making small talk. Drew's telling Kenya that they need to get their daughters together to have a play date. So Kenya says, oh yeah, that would be great. And then she adds on that she wishes that her and Drew were friends last season because they actually have a lot in common. So now they placed their orders, and I thought it was really funny that Drew got the same drink as Kenya. They both got peach martinis. And I'm thinking, I know it's not a big deal, but of all the drinks on the menu, you have to get the same exact thing. You know, a margarita didn't catch your eye. You didn't get a cosmopolitan. You had to get the same exact martini. I know, very petty of me. But I also have to add, the food in this scene looked amazing. My mouth was watering. I loved how Kenya ordered one of each thing on the menu. I said, that's how you do it. And I also couldn't stop laughing when Drew was like, oh, one of each, so are you paying for it? And Kenya was like, yeah, girl, of course. Like, eat up, get whatever you want, it's on me. And we all remember when Drew and Kenya went out to eat last season, and Kenya was like, girl, I'm gonna pay for the whole tab. Like, broke bitches don't split checks. And then Drew was like, no, I'm gonna pay for my portion. So it was just really funny to see it come full circle. So now they start discussing the New York trip. Kenya starts asking Drew if Drew had a good time in New York. Drew's like, you know, girl, it was an interesting trip, but I do have to say thank you for speaking up for me because you said everything that I was thinking. So Kenya says, I'm happy to hear that, but I don't want you to ever feel like I'm overstepping, you know, when it comes to discussing your marriage and talking to your husband. So Drew's reassuring Kenya that it was fine. Then she says, look, I don't know where our marriage is going to end up, but I'm just grateful that you spoke up. Now, I find that very telling that Drew would say, I don't know where it's going to end up, because that lets me know that Drew is also having some doubts about her marriage making it. And I don't see it making it that much longer because Ralph cannot take accountability for anything. The fact that Ralph is always gaslighting her, Drew is always walking around on eggshells around her own husband, that's an issue. So now Kenya starts sharing her gripes about the trip and how she didn't appreciate all the sex toys. She's like, yeah, Sanya's vibrating panties kept going off. Like, I didn't think that was cool. Like, it's inappropriate. And again, that wasn't the trip where you need to have vibrating panties. Like, they're going to see a play. Why is Candy trying to make the theme about sex? So now Drew brings up her feelings about Sanya, and she says, you know, I actually felt kind of blindsided when Sanya said that to me on the last night. And she goes on to say that I think that Sanya's trying to force an issue with me when there is no issue, because she couldn't even articulate herself to let me know what she was really mad about. So now Kenya brings up her conversation with Sanya, and she says, well, I have to say that Sanya was throwing shade about your Drop It With Drew program. So now Drew is upset hearing this, and I'd be upset too, because it's like, you're my friend, so why are you talking about me and shading me behind my back with friends that I introduced you to? I'd have an issue with that. So now they get on the topic of Sanya's Mommy Nation shoot, and Kenya's like, are you going to that? Like, I don't even know what Mommy Nation is. Drew says, I don't know what it is either, but I'm always going to support a friend. So we learned that Kenya's been invited, Drew was invited, but then Sanya uninvited her. And we see Drew showing Kenya the text message that Sanya sent her saying, you know, I don't think that you should come to the photo shoot after all because it's not the time or the place to have a conversation. And it's like, Sanya, you are aware that you could just say, Drew, I still want you to come, but let's not talk about it there. Let's talk about our issues at another time. That's not hard to do. And Sanya, I'm sorry, but that's very lame of you to now uninvite Drew. Drew hasn't done anything to you, if we're being honest. You're reaching for a storyline. It's just getting really annoying at how you have newbies coming on these shows and it's like they've studied the Housewives playbook. The audience can always tell when you're forcing drama, when you're forcing a beef or a feud with somebody because you want some camera time and to have a storyline. Like, you don't have to do the most. On these shows, some drama's gonna find you eventually. So you look very desperate and very thirsty trying to force a problem when there is no problem. You guys know I don't really care for Drew. And I think that Drew's very thirsty. But in this case, let's call it what it is. I think that Sanya is reaching. But anyhow, we end this scene with Drew asking Kenya to unblock her off of Instagram. So now we flip over to the next scene, and it's the day of Sanya's Mommy Nation photo shoot. She's at the studio, her friends are in the chair getting made up, and we learn that Mommy Nation is a blog that supports Black mothers. and they have 800 blogs on the platform, and now they have merchandise. Now I said, the similarities between Sanya and a certain former housewife of Potomac, the similarities are endless. They look just alike. They're both married to football players. They have blogs. You know, that one has the Not for Crazy Moms blogs. Not for Lazy Moms blogs. This one has Mommy Nation. You know, they both have some interesting social climbing tendencies. And don't get mad at me. We're not talking about Potomac. I'm just saying they both have similarities that I noticed, okay? But again, that's neither here nor there. So anyways, we see Candy arrive, and she's asking Sanya who else is coming. So Sanya says, it's going to be you and Kenya. I had originally invited Drew, but she's no longer coming. So now Kenya sashays into the studio, and Sanya's like, hey girl, did you bring a change of clothes? Because we're going to be modeling the sweatshirts. So now Kenya's like, wait, what? Like, you did not tell me that I was going to be in front of the camera. I thought I was just coming here to support you. I didn't know that you were actually going to try to put me to work. Like, I charge a fee for this. Like, I don't work for free. I did think it was hilarious that Candy, of all people, was saying that Kenya doesn't do anything without a check involved. I said, Candy, pot meets kettle, because what? You're the queen of getting a check. Candy does not go anywhere without a check involved. Look at her tagline. So I was just kind of like, it's very funny that you're saying that because you're the same way. Now, I was definitely here for Kenya being annoyed because if you tell me one thing, then when I show up, come to find out you want me to be a part of the photo shoot and give you free promo and publicity. Like, I know that we're new friends, but don't take advantage. And be straightforward in the text message. If you want me to help you out in that capacity, let me know via text or with a phone call. But don't invite somebody under false pretenses where they think they're coming to do one thing when you want to actually put them to work. And a quick question, did anybody see a craft services table? I said, not only do you want them to work for free and promote your product, but I don't even see a table providing any food. So you want them to do this on an empty stomach? And then to add insult to injury, the photo shoot was for a Black Friday sale. So Candy and Kenya were like, well, great. Like, really? You have me promoting stuff that's going to be on clearance. So the photo shoot begins. I have to say that Candy and Kenya look really good. And I said, I know those sweatshirts sold out. I know that Sanya made a killing. And Sanya, I hope that you sent them a gift basket and a thank you card because they didn't have to do that. And a lot of other people would have walked out. Like, girl, don't sit up here and play me. You did not say anything in the text message about us actually being involved in the photo shoot. So now they take a break and Candy's asking Sanya, why did Sanya pick the both of them to be involved in Mommy Nation? So Sanya says that she felt the most connected to them. I said, that is absolute BS. Let's tell the real reason why you went after them. You are enamored by the fact that Kenya, if we're being honest, is definitely one of the stars of Atlanta. She has a very big following. People love her. Candy has a huge following on social media. She's been on the show the longest out of everybody else on the cast. And her and Kenya are both, you could say, the queen bees of this cast. Also, it doesn't hurt that Candy's also the richest one on this cast. It's just very funny to me that of all the people in the group, you feel the most connected to the wealthiest one and the most popular one. It's just very interesting. I just feel like her friendship with Drew was at a convenience because she wanted a foot in the door to get in good with Candy and Kenya. And now it's like, okay, Drew, I no longer need you. You were good for a moment, but now let me get in tight with these two. I know quite a few of you guys in last week's recap disagree with me when I said this, but I'm sticking by what I said. I'm viewing Sanya to be very disingenuous, and I think that she's a social climber because I'm not really seeing the real issue that she has with Drew. So now they change gears in the conversation. Sanya lets Kenya and Kandi know that she wants to invite them, along with the rest of the women, to a Jamaican cooking class that she and her mom are going to be hosting. So now Sanya brings up how she's also going to invite Drew to the cooking class and how it's going to be a good opportunity for them to talk. So then Kenya brings up Drew saying that Sanya doesn't have a mind of her own. And then Sanya says, well, surely she couldn't say that. And it's like, no, Sanya, the way you're moving, I'd be saying the same thing. So now Sanya brings up how her parents live with her, and then Kenya brings up how Sheree's mom lives with her. So now, since they're on the topic of Sheree, Kenya brings up the whole Sheree and Tyrone mess. She's like, guys, do you know that Tyrone never came to the restaurant to meet Sheree in Philly? And there are pictures all over the blogs of Sheree sitting by herself crying. Kandi and Sanya are both shocked hearing this news. And now Kenya brings up how her and Marlo are going to throw Sheree a little party so that they can cheer her up. And when they ended this scene with Sanya asking them to take one more picture, I said, girl, you're lucky you got the pictures that you did out of them. I would have said, Sanya, I gave you enough. Make whatever shots that you guys took work because I'm leaving.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
So we get to one of the funniest scenes of the episode, and it's the day of Sheree's cheer-up party at Marlo's house. So Marlo's getting her house together. She has the food on the way. She's waiting on Kenya to bring the sweets and the desserts. And we see her Fendi rep come over and set up a shopping experience for Sheree. And we're gonna talk about this Fendi shopping spree in just a few minutes because I had quite a lot to say, Marlo. So as Marlo's getting things together, she FaceTimes Kenya to see where Kenya's at. She's like, girl, where are you? The party's starting for Sheree in like 3 hours, like where you at? So Kenya's not feeling well. She says that she's feeling sick and how she went to Sanya's Mommy Nation photo shoot and she's been feeling under the weather since then. Now, mind you, Marlo doesn't believe that Kenya's sick because Kenya was in full glam, okay? Like, she might have been sick, but Mama's face was beat. Like, she looked amazing. So Marlo's like, girl, you know you ain't sick. Like, just stop. Now, Marlo's irritated. And while I could understand Marlo being irritated because you are disappointed when you were looking forward to seeing a friend come somewhere and then now they can't. So I could understand why she was upset about that. But Marlo, with us still living in a pandemic, you need to be happy that Kenya was considerate and decided not to come. You'd be upset if Kenya did come and infected you and now you're sick and then mad at her for coming. Also, I don't see why Kenya would lie about being sick because her, Marlo, and Sheree are in a great place. So what would be the benefit of not coming to support her friend? I thought it was great that Kenya had Drew come and bring the desserts and everything else, even though she couldn't make it. So now they're making cupcakes. Drew says that while me and Sheree aren't on the best of terms, I don't mind putting my hands to good use to make her cupcakes since she's going through a tough time. So now Drew's asking where Kenya's at. Marlo's like, girl, she's saying that she's sick. I don't believe it. And then the Mommy Nation photo shoot gets brought up. So now Drew's asking Marlo if Marlo went to the photo shoot. Marlo's like, no, because, I'm not a mom, but were you there? So now Drew's like, no, I was uninvited. So now Marlo's trying to put two and two together. She's like, why would Kandi and Kenya get an invite and not the rest of us? Like, is she doing this because Kandi and Kenya have the most Instagram followers, so that means more publicity? And I'm like, Marlo, you are absolutely correct. That's exactly what it is. And when production showed the amount of Instagram followers that they all had, Kandi had the most. She had 9 million followers. Kenya had 3 million followers. And then everybody else is way down. And Drew's at the bottom with like 500,000 followers. So it was like, yeah, it's a very interesting coincidence that Kenya and Kandi, who have the most IG followers by far, are invited to this photo shoot and not the rest of them. So while that's all going on, we now flip to a scene with Sheree at home. She is still in her pajamas, still depressed, and she is crunching on some Lay's potato chips. I could not stop screaming. Sheree was like, I'm eating my special chips. It's that sea salt and that thick cut. I could not stop laughing. I said, am I watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, or is this a Lay's commercial? Now, I'm a chip girl myself. I love sour cream and onion chips. I like the Ridges. And I love sour cream and cheddar. I like barbecue jalapeno. But my all-time favorites, let me show you my all-time favorites. Wait up, just wait. Give me 2 seconds, okay? Listen, these are going to win every single time for me. Give me some cheese doodles. Like, I don't know what it is, but they have me in a chokehold. And you know what else I love? I love the cheese doodles in the orange bag, like the really puffy ones, and they're like squiggly. So good, like addicted. But when I saw Sheree chomping down those chips, I said, girl, me and you are right here because I love a good chip. To all my new subscribers, hello, I'm happy you're here. One thing about me, I'm going to always bring up the food, okay? And my mouth is always going to be salivating as I discuss it. So while Sheree's eating her special chips, Marlo FaceTimes her and says, girl, what are you doing? Put a Chanel bag on, put a Gucci on, get in that car that's in your driveway, and come on because I have a surprise for you. So Sheree's like, girl, what? Like, what car outside my door? And lo and behold, a driver appears, and Sheree's like, okay, I'm gonna get dressed. I'll see you soon. Now, when Sheree got off the phone with Marlo and then she looked out the window and saw the car waiting for her, when she was like, it's not a Rolls Royce, but it's a car, it's like, girl, what are you saying? It's like, Sheree, can you just be grateful for 1 minute, please? So Sheree gets in the car, the driver tells her that she's to put this blindfold on and she can't take it off until she gets to her destination. So Sheree's like, wait, what? Like, can you tell me a little something? And he's like, no, I can't say anything. Just keep that blindfold on. I was screaming because Sheree said, I feel like I'm on Taxi Cab Confessions. So as Sheree's pulling up to Marlo's gate, Drew is asking Marlo if she can have a plate of food before she goes. So Marlo's like, yeah, sure, of course. And I couldn't stop laughing because Marlo was rushing Drew. She's like, girl, hurry up. Like, Sheree's pulling up any minute. You can't be here. It's for the single ladies only. And I mean, Drew was like piling her plate. And I was in tears because Marlo was like pushing Drew out the back door. I said, not the back door. So Drew's gone. Marlo goes outside to greet Sheree. And as they're walking up the steps to go inside Marlo's home, Marlo says, girl, we have to recreate our infamous fight scene when we were in South Africa. So when I tell you, I was on the floor. So they're in the house. Marlo's showing her that she bought her food and desserts, and there's a massage therapist for her. And she also brought her Fendi salesperson to the house too. So she's like, girl, run up a check, buy whatever you want, blow a bag, have fun. Baby, Sheree shuts it down. She spends $11,000 on bags, shoes, a clutch, everything. And I was confused because I was thinking the way Marlo was talking, I thought that it was Marlo's treat with the Fendi. I said on Twitter, how did Marlo know that Sheree wanted to spend that much money? Because let's be real, when you have an SA come to your home, there is an expectation that you're going to buy. And that kind of put Sheree on the spot to buy. Also, how do you know that Sheree wanted Fendi? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Fendi, but what if Sheree was in the mood to spend it on Chanel or Hermes? You know what I'm saying? I also remember in season 4 when Marlo was introduced as a friend of the show and her and Nene were getting close and she had Nene come to her home and she was like, oh, Nene, you want these shoes? You can have them. Like, you want this bag? You can have it. Like, girl, I have so much of this stuff. And remembering that and hearing how Marlo talks so grand and how she acts like she's just so generous and has it like that, I was surprised that she didn't offer to pay for a pair of shoes for Sheree or a clutch or a wallet or something. And even Sheree felt the same way because Sheree was like, I mean, girl, this is nice and all, but I thought she was going to gift me with something. Now, me personally, I would have spent a few thousand and then I would have said, okay, Marlo, so what are you buying me? You going to buy this clutch for me for $800? So now they finish shopping, they go into the kitchen. Marlo has Sheree reading the cake, and she put like, I love me, queen, diva, joggers. And Sheree's looking like, what does this all say? And then she says, well, Marlo can't even spell the archive right, so she damn sure can't spell whatever's on this cake right. Now, when I tell you that this was a full spread, I need the ladies of Potomac to take notes. Marlo had a cake, sweets, chips, donuts. For the food, she had fried chicken, French fries, catfish. And did you see how good that catfish looked? Oh my gosh. Y'all, my mouth was watering. So while they're eating, Sheree says that she really appreciates this. Nobody's ever done anything like this for her. And Marlo says, look, I'm not judging you, Sheree, but I just want you to know that you're a beautiful woman and you deserve more. And so Marlo says, girl, you look like a brown Barbie doll sitting up there waiting for a dusty Tyrone in dirty ass Philly. Now I said, Marlo, I hope that everybody from Philly is eating you up for that because that is so messed up to say. And I was like, Marlo, have you ever even been to Philly? You sound very ignorant and that's very insulting. I'm from New York and I was insulted hearing you say that. So now Sheree says that she's a hopeless romantic and that she knows that Tyrone loves her. I'm like, Sheree, what's not clicking? A man who is in love with you, he would have been there. He would have been at that restaurant 20 minutes early to see you. Why are you trying to delude yourself and pretend like this man gives a damn about you when he doesn't? And even Sheree had to admit that she sounded crazy saying this. And she said, my daughters wouldn't even put up with this. I'm sure they're thinking, like, why is their mom putting up with this? And when Sheree said that she's not ready to walk away just yet, she doesn't want to block his number, it's like, Sheree, what was he saying to you over that phone that's just so good that you don't want to block him? This is not a real relationship. Tyrone should have never been a prospect in the first place. I'm just not understanding why Sheree can't seem to find somebody who's on her level. And it's evident that Sheree's self-esteem is not as high as she's led us to believe over the years, because when she broke down crying and Marlo was hugging her saying, Sheree, you have to love yourself. Like, you're beautiful. You're too good for this. And when she said, I just can't believe that I allow somebody to come in and make me feel unworthy and unloved, that's very sad. And I really hope that Sheree does work on herself and does get her self-esteem to a place where she knows what she's worth. Because she shouldn't even be in this predicament where she's crying over a man like Tyrone. Tyrone shouldn't even be an option. So now we get to the final scene of the episode, and it's the night of Sanya's Jamaican cooking class. So we see Sanya and her mom arrive to the space first, and I loved how they hired a steel drum player. I was like, that is just so awesome. Like, you really feel like you're in the islands. So we see Sheree arrive first, then we see Kenya arrive right after. Kenya looked amazing. She looked like a living Barbie doll. So we see that Sheree's kind of salty that Kenya could show up to this cooking class, but not to her little party that Marlo had for her the other night. So Sheree says in her confessional, well, it's nice to know that Kenya can show up for somebody. And also, Sheree, you and Kenya are on a good path. You guys are friends now. Why can't you just give your new friend the benefit of the doubt? If she says that she was sick, she was sick. Respect that. Make plans to do something later one-on-one and go from there. But to be upset and making all these shady remarks, it's like, girl, that's unnecessary. Now we see Marlo arrive, and then we see Candy and Mama Joyce arrive. It was so cute because Sanya's mom and Mama Joyce really hit it off. They were like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty. It's so nice to meet you. And Even though I have my thoughts about Mama Joyce and how she can be, it's always lovely when she is in a good mood and we see her, you know, pleasant and friendly. So it's time for them to start cooking, and already my mouth was watering. They're making curry chicken and brown stew chicken, and they're also doing plantains, all that. And when I tell you, honey, drooling.
I love it. I love it.
I swear to you guys, one of these days, this channel is going to be a food channel. So now everybody's cooking, having a good time, talking, and now Kenya goes off to the side because she starts coughing. So Marlo's talking under her breath about how Kenya should have stayed home, and then Candy says, I mean, yeah, you know, I ain't trying to get sick either. Now I said, Marlo, just the other night, you were upset with Kenya for not coming because she was sick, and you were saying she was lying. But now, since she's coughing, now you're like, girl, you should have stayed home. I'm like, which one is it? Because had she been coughing at your house, you would have been upset. It's like, you really can't win with some of these ladies sometimes. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So here's where things get messy. Marlo brings up how Kenya didn't show up to her house to cheer up Sheree, and she was surprised that Kenya came to this cooking class today. So now Marlo says to Sheree, Sheree, did you tell Candy about what we talked about? And she's talking about the whole Tyrone mess. So Kenya interrupts and says, no, I told Candy. Sheree jumps in and says, well, if you told Candy and Candy knew this information about what happened between me and Tyrone, then why didn't she reach out? So Candy's like, well, you know, I didn't want to pry. I didn't want to say anything. But Sheree, I have to be honest. While you have a valid point that Candy should have reached out to you, let's not pretend that you haven't been very nasty to other people over the years. Have you reached out to people when they've been going through hard times on this show? Like, let's just be real here. So for you to act like everybody needs to stop what they're doing to reach out, it's like, well, if the shoe were on the other foot, would you reach out to one of the other ladies? I'm just saying. I think that Sheree would use the excuse like, well, we're not that close or whatever have you to avoid reaching out. And now Sheree jumps in and says, Kenya, I just knew you were going to be there to support me. Like, don't support me over the phone. Support me in real life. I was annoyed when Sheree said that because I said, once again, if somebody's sick, why would you want a sick person to be around you? Especially since we're living in a pandemic. Had Kenya gotten you sick, then you'd be hollering about how she should have stayed home. Kenya did support you because she made sure the massage therapist came and she sent Drew with all the desserts. You know that if Kenya wasn't under the weather, she would have been there for you. Kenya's angry. She's like, of course I support you. Like, what are you saying? So now Marlo jumps in and says, girl, you talking about you were sick, but you were in full glam. So Kenya's like, girl, don't do this. Like, I was preparing to go, but the doctors told me I couldn't go, and I ended up taking a test to make sure that I was in the clear. Don't make it seem like I'm lying when I'm not. So now they start going back and forth, and now Mama Joyce interrupts, and she's like, girls, y'all need to stop all this arguing, like, stop it right now. So now Mama Joyce gives them advice. She tells Sheree to block Tyrone's number. And I thought it was really nasty of Sheree to say, well, you know, Candy's been through this because her baby daddy was in jail. And it's like, really? Sheree and Marlo are funny to me because they act like they're just so tough and they're so straightforward, but they can be very passive-aggressive because that was very passive-aggressive for Sheree to say that. So now the conversation changes gears, and Sheree brings up the Mommy Nation photo shoot. So now she's asking who all was invited, and Sanya says that it was Candy and Kenya because she connected the most with them. So Marlo interrupts and says, girl, Candy? You connected the most with Candy? Like, Candy is not the most friendly. Like, me and her just got cool. And I've known her for years. But it's like, Marlo, let's be honest. You were sitting up there calling Candy a sugar mama every chance you got when you first met. So let's not do this. So now Marlo and Sheree go outside, and you already know when it's just the two of them by themselves, they are definitely talking about everybody in the room. So Marlo's like, girl, don't you think that Sanya's up Kenya and Candy's ass? Like, I get it. She's just trying to promote her stuff. And, you know, she hasn't run track in 50 years and she got 20 people in her house. It was like, really, Marlo? So now Marlo starts going in on Candy. And when I tell you, if I were Candy, me and Marlo would never speak again. There is nothing that Marlo could ever say to me. There would not be enough apologies in the world because this was just low down. I was just like, damn, tell us how you really feel. And for you and Sheree to be having this kind of conversation at y'all's big ages was really sad to watch. Like, y'all both need help. So now Marlo starts saying that Candy's mommy money nation, how she's all about the bag, and how she has a daddy daycare at home, and she doesn't have the heart to help people. And I said, Marlo, let me stop you right there, because weren't you thanking Candy a few episodes ago for cash-apping both your nephews when they graduated school? Is that not helping somebody? Candy didn't have to do that. Now, while I think that Candy can be cheap, very money hungry, I will say that she has done a lot of charitable things for people. I remember last season, she had, I think, the food drive for people and all the ladies helped. She bought groceries for like 150 families. What have you done? Can you say you've done the same? That was really messed up of you to say she doesn't help anybody. She goes on to say that everybody knows that Candy's a damn hoe. She's effed everybody in Atlanta for free and how she's always dating below her tax bracket. I said, again, the slut shaming wasn't needed because you were with a billionaire for a decade, right? And why didn't he wife you up? If you want to play this game, then let's play it. Because I really think it's disgusting when women at their big ages want to weaponize, well, you know, obviously it wasn't good because she can't keep a man, all this stuff. Well, where's your man, sis? You've been on this show for a decade and we've yet to see you with a boyfriend. So if you want to play this game, then let's play. And when Sheree was co-signing, talking about, yeah, girl, preach, I said, Sheree, you're sitting up here crying over a man who just got out of prison, who doesn't have $1 to his name. How dare you speak on anybody? Talk about somebody dating below their tax bracket. Tyrone is several tax brackets below you. Several. So you want to throw shade at Candy? You're an easy read. You're a walking read. How dare you? I was like, if I was Sheree, I would have sat there silent. And there have been a lot of rumors about Marlo. A lot. A lot. So for her to say this about anybody is comical. And Marlo, you really jumped out the window and sounded like a true fool when you started talking about Kenya. Talking about, oh, you know, Miss Damn USA, like, yeah, right. She was a video hoe from the 90s who effed every rapper in America and still didn't get picked. And I said, and you've also been with rappers, billionaires, multi-millionaires, football players. And why haven't you been picked? Since you're just such a great catch. Where's your man? Where's your husband? But you want to talk about Kenya. That was very nasty of you. And to sit up there and try to discredit her for being Miss USA, which is a huge feat, is really sad and it's hateful. Marlo has always given me a very miserable woman at her core, and it really jumped out in this last scene because what she was saying was absolutely disgusting. And when Kenya and Candy eat her up at this reunion, I don't want to hear her crying. I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear it. I want her to sit there and take it. And for Sheree with her goofy self to be sitting up there co-signing, talking about, yeah, preach, facts, and laughing at it. Now, baby, if people read you down, you'd be crying too. Because it took you 8-9 years to build Chateau Sheree. You've had a lot of money problems. You can't seem to find a decent guy. You're sitting up there falling in love with a man in jail who's standing you up. But yet you want to sit up there and have a cute little key with Marlo about Kenya and Candy. Got it. So now we end the episode with Drew arriving, and we're going to see how that plays out in the next episode. But y'all, when I tell you that Atlanta is giving what it was supposed to have gave in the words of Rolling Ray, I am here for it. Another fantastic episode. And I'm looking forward to this reunion. But guys, thank you all for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoy. And you guys know what to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.